Welcome to the week that was, but we mostly wish it wasn't, for the week ending April 24th, 2026. This is a weekly roundup of the highlights and lowlights of campus anti-Zionism and anti-Semitism. If something is happening in your neck of the woods, please be sure to let me know. I am your host, Andrew Pessin. I am a professor, but please don't hate me. For more about me and my work, visit andrewpessin.com. For all the details of today's stories and loads more stories, please follow me on X at Andrew Pessin. A quick reminder, I have launched the Institute for the Critical Study of Anti-Zionism. We are up and running and already doing quite a lot of, I think, excellent work. Please do follow us on the Substack. That's at ICSA, ICSA.substack.com. Okay, to the news. This week, a Smith College Advisory Committee declined to vote on a BDS proposal that was put before it, effectively rejecting the proposal. In response, the Students for Justice in Palestine chapter there, SJP, launched a People's University encampment on the campus. By their own admission, their events were not approved by the college, and yet the tents have apparently been up for a week. The administration seems to be doing nothing. This week, the Brandeis Center filed a legal complaint against Williams College for violating the rights of an Orthodox Jewish student there, essentially failing to accommodate his religious needs. This includes the fact that the key card to his dorm, which is electronic, he's not able to use on Shabbat, and he often has to wait outside for long periods in the cold for someone to come and let him in, and also inadequate supply of kosher food. At Stanford University this week, an IDF soldier tackled a student during a tabling event. That sounds like an interesting story. Melanie Shiraz, who was crowned Miss Israel in 2025, along with the soldier, were standing on the plaza for a number of hours this week with a cardboard sign that read, "I'm Miss Israel. I'm an IDF soldier. Ask us anything." According to eyewitness accounts, a Stanford student then came up, grabbed the sign from the table, and began to bike away. The soldier then tackled the student to retrieve the sign. I'm sure that's going to play out in interesting ways in the days ahead. At Columbia University, an amended complaint has been filed with the National Labor Relations Board against the union representing graduate students there, charging that they are bargaining in bad faith for, amongst other issues, demanding that the university adopt various BDS policies targeting Israel, as well as demanding that the university terminate its dual degree undergraduate program with Tel Aviv University. For the record, undergraduate programming is entirely outside the purview of the graduate students' union, which is supposed to negotiate working conditions for the graduate students. At Harvard this week, there's a business school class being taught by an anti-Israel activist professor who has snuck his anti-Israelism into a mandatory case study that they all have to work on, treating as established fact Israel's genocide and various companies' alleged complicity in the genocide. At UCLA this week, just when you thought they couldn't go any lower, the undergraduate student government there condemned an event featuring freed hostage Omer Shem Tov, saying that the event reflects a, quote, troubling disregard for Palestinian life, end quote. As a reminder, Omer Shem Tov is an Israeli civilian who was kidnapped by Hamas terrorists from a music festival during the massacre of October 7th. Talk about a troubling disregard for life. University of Michigan. The Michigan Democratic Party seems to be finding ever lower levels to sink to. Their Democratic Party convention in Michigan, Jordan Acker, who was the incumbent Jewish University of Michigan Democratic regent, a man whose house and car were repeatedly vandalized, including with his family at home, with anti-Semitic graffiti by fanatical anti-Israel activists, including coming to his house at 3 in the morning. He was denied the party's re-endorsement for regency and lost his seat. In his place, they chose Dearborn attorney Amir Makled, who has praised Hezbollah and the Iranian terror regime, called Jews demons who lie, cheat, murder, and blackmail, shared an ISIS origin slur about Jews, amplified calls to ban Jews from Congress, and so on. University of Washington this week, a federal civil rights investigation has been opened up in examining anti-Semitism there. At the same time as that was happening, anti-Israelists there had a rally this week openly supporting Hamas as well as waving flags. New York University pro-terror students, think it's fair to say, at NYU openly glorified violent terrorism this week in a post celebrating an event. And then at the event itself, the event was called Death to the Academy, Academy spelled with a K. The event featured Dr. Mohammed Abdu, who was fired from Columbia for his blatant support of terrorism. The event, according to its poster, will dive into the successes and failures of the Al-Aqsa flood, Hamas's name for the massacre, and address how student and community organizers can work to topple Euro-American empire where they are, American spelled with a K, hinting at KKK, I believe. The post advertising the event featured an image of armed terrorists wearing headbands similar to those worn by Hamas, the PFLP, and the Al-Aqsa Martyrs Brigades, declaring, quote, "Together we will win." So I guess they consider themselves part of those terrorist movements. Florida State University, an Israel Fair celebration, was overwhelmed by anti-Israel protesters and forced it to shut down early. Also at Harvard, an astonishingly prolific anti-Israel medical researcher used AI to churn out journal articles. A stridently anti-Israel Harvard graduate student used AI to churn out at least 5 of the more than 90 medical journal articles he published in 2.5 years, including one about whether newborns have a future in Gaza. So he's managing to slip his political agenda into his medical, quote unquote, scholarship. San Diego State University, this week, their student government vote was scheduled to vote on a BDS resolution on Wednesday. I have not yet been able to find the results. If you know, please do let me know. K through 12 has been a very busy domain this past week. In Vermont, an activist group there is offering funding and curricula for Nakba-related school events. In New York City, the Federal Department of Education has launched a Title VI anti-Semitism investigation into the New York City Department of Education, including concern about, for example, a group called New York City Educators for Palestine, who have reportedly been teaching kids as young as 5 to support Hamas because Zionists are white supremacist genociders. Also in New York, at Scarsdale High School, a very posh public school, there was an ugly anti-Semitic incident this past week. The situation occurred when flyers posted by the school's Israel Culture Club to promote an upcoming Israel Fest were ripped off the walls and dumped into boys' bathroom urinals with images of the soaking flyers, quickly, of course, making the rounds on social media online. That's when the 17-year-old daughter of the school board member stuck her nose in and wrote, "Keep up the good work," on a post that she wrote on Instagram next to a flyer, next to an image of one of the flyers inside the urinal, along with 4 fire emojis. Needless to say, there's a lot of internal in that school amongst the school board as we speak. In California, San Diego Torrey Pines High School just forced students to sit through a men's health video teaching teenage boys how to get in touch with their feelings, but being presented with a Palestinian flag front and center in the classroom. Also in California Teachers Association, the Jewish and Allied Educators for Palestine Instagram page posted a photo of a calm Palestinian child with the caption, quote, "Palestinian children facing execution yet standing with remarkable calm and faith." Don't even know where to begin with that one. In Canada this week, police were called to the scene at St. Aloysius Gonzaga School after massive anti-Israel hate graffiti was sprawled all over the school, literally spray painted walls all over the place. It was really shocking to see, including slogans such as "Israel kills kids," "Israel spits on Christians," "Israel hates the world," "Israel's behind the Epstein files," etc., etc. Well, that's the news, unfortunately. Tune in next week to see what fresh horrors next week might bring. Again, I'm your host, Andrew Pessin at andrewpessin.com, hoping everyone manages to hold it together. Till next week.